Përshëndetje and welcome back to another episode. I'm your host, Lorena, and I'm so excited to have Arisa Reka, Chair of the Albanian Student Association at UK and Junior Doctor in the NHS on the pod. So I've been looking forward to our talk this whole week. You're our first guest from the UK, so congrats to that. So how have you been?
I've been good. No, and also, first of all, thank you so much for having me on the pod. Amazing work from you and everyone else at SAPS. I think what you're doing is amazing. But yeah, no, I've been great recently.
That's good. That's good. So I just kind of wanted to start this off with how I usually do, and just have you kind of talk a little bit about yourself and your background.
Sure. So I was born in Kosovo,
Mhm.
like back in '96, but we had to leave like when I was like 2 because obviously that's when things were getting really, um, the conflict was getting really bad.
Yeah.
So we moved to the UK. My parents moved to the UK with me. And that's kind of all I've known. I've grown up in London, North London, because I know the Londoners, they
Mhm.
like to be specific.
Yeah.
I studied, I went straight from like high school to university. I studied there for 6 years. And then I went straight from university into work. And that's what I'm doing now, working, like you said, in the National Healthcare Service. The primary school, like the first elementary school that I went to, my year didn't have a lot of Albanians, but with every year that passed, I guess more and more people were coming over. There were more and more Albanians.
Yeah.
So, and also, I guess from our community, I was kind of the first Albanian who had grown up here and knew the language and the system really well. So
Yeah.
not only was I like lucky enough to be well integrated, I kind of also had that like sort of that position as like the big sister as
Yeah.
well within the community. So yeah, no, it's great.
That's nice. Yeah. So you said junior doctor. So I'm thinking like I know nothing about the school systems in the UK. And so kind of talk a little bit about that. And I guess I'll share what it's like here in America. Yeah.
Yeah, no, fair enough. So I think a good way to describe it is, you know, Grey's Anatomy, you know,
Yeah.
Meredith in season 1, that's what I am now. So
Okay.
I worked for 2 years and now I'm in my first year of like my specialty training.
Okay.
So here in the UK, when you graduate from university, you first of all do 2 years of just rotating around departments. It's kind of like luck what departments you get. It's
Mhm.
pretty random and you're a junior doctor for 2 years. And then after that, you become properly, fully qualified. And you get to apply to your, I guess, residency or your official, what sort of pathway you want to be on. So I chose anesthesia, and I have just started my first year in August. That's what I'm doing right now.
Is there a specific exam you have to take in order to get to medical school, or is it like you go straight to college?
So for us, everyone does high school up until year 11. You finish year 11. And then from that point is like kind of where people start going different pathways. So if you want to do medicine, you have to go to somewhere that does A levels, whether that's a college, a sixth form, whatever, it doesn't matter, but you have to do A levels.
Okay.
And as well as doing your A levels, you also have to study for entrance exams. It's really annoying because half the universities have one entrance exams and half the universities have a different entrance exam. So you
Oh,
have to do both of them. Like if you're going to apply for a mix of
oh,
places,
wow. Okay.
of them. And then once you do your A levels, do those entrance exams, that takes 2 years to kind of complete that process. Then you go to university. Yeah.
Oh wow. Now it's here, it's like um graduate. Well, we have the SAT and the ACT, which are like the two college entrance exams. So you can pick and choose either one. I took both of them. I did better on my SAT, so I just used that. But I got into undergrad, 4 years of that, and then we applied to grad school, which is either a master's or medical school, and do another 4 years of that. And
Gosh.
so, yeah, but the first 2 years are just like more taking exams, learning, and I think the last 2 years are more hands-on. You have rotations and stuff, which I think that's what you're doing right now with clinical
Um,
rotations.
so I also did that. Ours is similar as well. It's like the first 3 years is theory, and then the last 2 years is clinical rotation.
Yeah.
So I did that the full 6 years, and
Oh,
now I'm what I work. So it's interesting. It's like I do work full time. I have a full-time job, but I accept a lower salary,
Uh-huh.
and here's where it gets a bit annoying. I accept a lower salary because I am in training,
Okay.
and in thanks for being in training, I have to also study for exams that I
Okay.
have to pay for myself,
Mm.
which are like £300 plus for per exam. So it's like it's being a junior doctor is like, in the patient's eyes, you are the doctor, like
Yeah.
you are
So
the doctor.
is it like residency, would you say then?
Yeah, I think
Okay,
so.
it is residency.
Yeah.
Okay, so after you applied are you applying for a fellowship then?
Yeah, so I did my entrance exams. I did my 6 years at uni, and then I had to do an exam and an interview in
Okay,
order to get to where I am right now, which
all
is
right.
the anesthetics
Yeah,
like training program. But I still have
definitely a
to.
long journey.
Yeah, I know there's so much more to go. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's better to think about it.
yeah. A step at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm currently studying, so I know I have a long ways ahead of me too, but congrats to you. You're almost there. Um, yeah. And so I also have to say I love your accent. Absolutely love your accent. And I know to you, you're probably like, you think I have an accent, right? I don't know. I probably sound a little off. Would you ever move to the States if the opportunity arises? Have you thought about that?
Honestly, in the States, I haven't. It hasn't crossed my mind. I don't know.
Mhm.
There's nothing drawing me to the States. Like, no.
No?
That's such a like, blank answer, but like even to visit, like
Yeah.
kind of there are some areas which I think are beautiful and I'd
Mhm.
love to visit, but to work in the States, maybe in some like it'd probably be a good experience. You have a big range of demographic of type of patients and type of conditions. But to be honest, I feel like the UK healthcare system is slowly becoming the States healthcare system. So
Oh.
I'm missing out. So I don't think it's on the cards. But I'll definitely come visit you guys soon.
Oh yeah, we'd love to have you, please. I'd say come visit Charlotte, but I'll probably somewhere in the north. I probably have to fly over there. It's much.
Meet in the middle.
Yeah. So what does a day in the life of a junior doctor look like?
Yeah, really good question. So, it varies a little bit, but I'll give you two of the broad types.
Mhm.
So, and it probably is very similar to like America. So usually you come into work and you're kind of looking after a set number of patients, usually all on the same ward. And you come in, you prepare for the ward round. So you just check over how the patient's been overnight, on their observations, any blood test results, and you kind of become like the expert on that patient. And then the senior doctor will come in and round on the patients, and you'll basically have to write down everything from the rounds. And then whatever plan the senior doctor made, the rest of the day, you're implementing that plan. But also, patients might get sick, and you're the person who has to go and sort that out because the consultant has probably gone home and is chilling by like 1 p.m. So that's like if you're on the wards, like inside with the admitted patients. Currently, I'm working in the A&E, Accident and Emergency Department, like the ER. Yeah. And so on Monday, tomorrow, I will be doing a night shift, which is so, so different to that.
Mhm.
So, like the majority of hospitals in the UK, we are super, super short-staffed. So on our night shifts, we are like bare minimum staffing. So there's just like one doctor per area. And me being the most junior of the team, I work in, it's called majors assessment, which is the stable patients that have like normal heart rates, normal blood pressure, and can wait. They can deal with a doctor who's going to take their
Yeah.
time. And there'll be like maybe 20, 30 patients plus waiting there, some of whom have been there for 8+ hours. They're annoyed,
Yeah.
frustrated, upset. And it'll be me and like one nurse and one healthcare assistant, kind of just keeping the place going until sunrise. So
Yeah.
I'll see a whole range of patients. I'll see chest pains, cough, headaches, collapse, urinary problems, bowel problems, all sorts of interesting things. It's really interesting. But it'll be my job to decide if this patient has to be admitted through a specialty or if they can go home and be followed up in some case or another. So I'll see them, examine them, make a plan, blah, blah, blah. If
Yeah.
I'm unsure about something, discuss with the senior and do that. So that's quite different to what I did in like my previous years, but more interesting, but also a lot more pressure.
Oh yeah. No, for sure. I'd expect that if it's just you and you said a
Yeah,
doctor in,
it'll be like me in majors assessment, one doctor for resus, which I don't know, do you call it resus in America? Like the super sick patients where they
oh,
go.
I'm not sure how, yeah, might just
So
be,
one for the super sick patients who are like on organ support, one for, this is going to be so weird, but it's basically an area of the ER for all old people. Like
okay,
everyone who's like 80 plus, because they can't sit in beds and they can't like, so they have to have, they can't sit in chairs, so they
yeah,
have to have beds, and they're usually like sicker
oh,
than younger patients who can compensate, and one in pediatrics.
all right,
So we're all like spread out, kind of just managing our own area, but helping one another if we can, when we can.
yeah. What do you like to do? Like after a long days of work, you go back home. What do you usually?
Well, what I'd love to do is eat like junk food and cake. But I'm trying to do that. I'm not doing that as much anymore because I just don't want diabetes. Definitely
Yeah.
don't want diabetes. But actually, usually what I do, and to be honest, like it's nice because it takes my mind out of like work. Is
Mhm.
actually work on ALSA, which I think we'll probably talk about later.
Oh yeah,
But
for
I
sure.
open my laptop and like I open Slack and I just start replying to messages and I can like forget about what happened at work. I don't like to talk about it and I don't like to like think about it because if
Yeah.
I do, then I'm just gonna get stressed.
Yeah, I agree. And now time for our fun fact of the day. Today's fun fact is that a statue of former US President Bill Clinton stands on a street that also bears his name in Pristina, capital of Kosovo. Clinton helped end the conflict in the late 1990s, and former President George W. Bush, who also has a street named for him in the capital, has recognized Kosovo's independence in 2008. We talked about ALSA just now. Can you kind of talk about the mission and vision for ALSA?
We're going back now to the pandemic,
Yeah.
was now feels like it was ages ago. So we went into lockdown and I was in medical school at the time in my 5th year, and they suspended our studies right in the lead up to exams, which was super weird for me, but for a lot of us, because we were like, wait a minute, we don't have exams, we don't have lectures, what do we do? This is all we know. This
Yeah.
is all we've been doing for 5 years. And we could see in the news the hospitals were overwhelmed, doctors were all sick, because at the beginning we didn't know. So all the doctors and nurses got COVID and they were all
Yeah.
at home, like coughing their guts out. So
Mhm.
they had a huge issue of not having staff on the wards. And they put a call out and they were like, if anyone's in their final year of medical school, you have the option of graduating early, getting a pass,
Mhm.
starting working, because we just need doctors desperately. And I remember being so frustrated. I was like, I'm so annoyed. I wasn't born like a year earlier, so I could be in my final year. I was like, this is so annoying. I was like, this is
Yeah.
horrible. Like, I'm sitting here. I know how to work in a hospital,
Yeah.
and I'm sitting here doing nothing. And it was so frustrating for me. And then the email came saying, okay, we need more doctors. Does anyone in the 5th year want to help? And I immediately emailed and I was like, yeah, I live 10 minutes from Barnet Hospital. That was the name of the hospital. I can go there. I have a car. I'm happy to volunteer, blah, blah, blah. And we got there and basically they were doing this sort of weird induction, which I don't know how you can do an induction for a disease that you don't even know anything
Yeah.
about. And they basically said, where do you guys want to work? What are you comfortable doing? And I was like, it's not about what I'm comfortable doing. Where do you need the help? And they were like, well, to be honest, we don't need doctors because we actually don't know how to fight this disease. We need
Yeah.
healthcare assistants. And I don't know what they're called in America, but here a healthcare assistant doesn't have a nursing degree or a doctor degree. They help with kind of just the day-to-day care of a patient. So they can't administer medication, they can't dispense it, but they can help the patient take
Oh,
it.
like medical assistants, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right. So they said, we need you in intensive care as a healthcare assistant. And that's what I did for like duration of lockdown. I worked in intensive care as a healthcare assistant. And I don't know, have you seen like those movies? Like, I don't know if they make you watch them in school of like World War II, when like they go into the trenches and it's
Oh
just
my
like,
God. Yeah.
and there's something going on here. And that's honestly what it felt like. Like, honestly, not to be dramatic, but it was my first shift was a night shift because that's where they needed staff. It was dark. There was like rows and rows and rows of patients, which is not what intensive care is supposed to be. Intensive care is supposed to be this like quiet, pristine, spaced
Yeah.
out place. And it was people shouting here and people crying here and like alarms going off here, alarms going off here. And I was like, what the heck?
Yeah.
How are people working here? How are they doing this? How are they coming to work day in, day out, providing care for these patients in this sort of environment? And I was honestly in awe of the doctors, of the nurses. I would literally look at them and just like be in love with them, with what they were doing. And so,
Heroes.
yeah,
Real
literally,
heroes. Yeah.
honestly, literally like superheroes. Like they belong in like a Marvel movie. They were insane. So I was really, really inspired by them. And I was looking after these patients and I was proud of myself for the work that I was doing. And they really quickly stepped me up into like administering medication, IVs, all this stuff, because they could see that I had medical knowledge. And I thought to myself, this feels so good. Like, totally, this is traumatizing, and I'm probably gonna like be traumatized for the rest of my life. But it feels so damn good to, instead of being sat at my desk at home
Yeah.
watching movies, to being here and actually helping and doing something for other people. And then it made me think, what am I doing with my life? Like, all I've done my whole life is study, work hard, get good grades, study, work hard, get good grades. But that's actually not what makes me happy. Like, actually, what I want to be doing is making a difference to people's lives. And then I thought to myself, what's something I've always wanted to do is bring Albanian people together, is do something meaningful with Albanian people. So I spoke to my sister and I said to her, I have this idea. I want to create an organization of young Albanian people in the UK, and we volunteer for the community.
Yeah.
And she was like, she had nothing to do. Everyone was in lockdown.
Yeah, exactly.
She was like, you know
We're
what,
stuck
whatever.
at
Let's do
home.
it. Yeah, exactly. She was like, let's do it. And I was like, do you have any friends who could help? Because to be honest, I didn't have that many Albanian friends at the time. And the ones I did definitely would not have been interested in this. Or
Yeah.
I thought. And she was like, yeah, I have my best friend, Arona, let's get her on board. And then they announced that actually I was going to have exams. So I stopped working in intensive care, went back to studying, with Arietta and Arona basically being like my assistants. And I would wake up and give them a list of things they had to get done that day. But you need to make a website, you need to do this, and this, and do this for the logo. And then I'd go study. And at the end of the day, be like, have you done this? Let's do this. Let's work on this. Let's do that. And I would constantly, like, in studying, just like run to my sister's room and be like, oh my God, I've had an idea. We should do
Yeah.
it like, she'd be like, go back and study. You're going to fail your final exams. And we did it. And so I sat my exam, and literally the next day, or I think no, that afternoon, because if you look at the photos from the Zoom call, I still have like wet hair because I did like my post-exams shower, and then I would jump on the Zoom call. And then we agreed. We were like, we're going to launch it. We like posted it on socials and we put the call out. And Elsa was born. But the interesting thing is, when we first put the call out, we didn't say what exactly we wanted to do. We wanted to be Albanians who give back to the community. And after a few conversations, and basically me listening to other people, they told me that they wanted to create an organization that helps young Albanians get into careers and get into university. Because it's so difficult when your parents haven't grown up in the UK, they don't have a clue about the education system. I went to an awful secondary school. I had no business being in that secondary school. My grades were top. I could have gone to like a grammar school or even a private school on a scholarship. My
Yeah.
parents didn't know. So it's so difficult. You can be the smartest, brightest kid, but still not achieve your dreams just because you don't have connections or someone to guide you. So with Elsa, we basically wanted to fix that, address that issue, which is why we call ourselves like a networking platform now and an incubator for like young Albanians who want to progress in their career and education. That's what we've called ourselves up until now.
It's a team effort at the end of the day too. And you have how many members? I think.
So it's always changing. So volunteers, we have, I think about 75 now, volunteers, but
Wow.
members like, I think 500.
Yeah.
That's people who have signed up to our newsletter.
Yeah.
But we have a lot of volunteers, which is great.
No, that's amazing. And I love all the work that you're doing. So how do you see Elsa growing in the next 5 years?
So because we have those 75 volunteers, they kind of manage the day-to-day and the outside activities, which has freed me up only the last year or so to kind of look at this big picture stuff. So we are finally registering ourselves as a charity because we weren't registered up until now because I had no clue how to do it.
Yeah.
So and also in registering ourselves as a charity, we've actually opened ourselves up. So we're no longer sort of marketing ourselves as just for Albanians. We're going to make it very clear that we are mainly Albanians running it, but we want to make it clear that we're actually giving back to everyone, and our resources and our events and our knowledge is free for everyone to use. So in the next 5 years, I want us to be registered. I want us to have a consistent source of income, because that's really important for us being sustainable as well. Is we don't want to rely on like people's donations. We're never ever going to charge people for what we do. Like that's totally out of the question. So we're looking into sustainable ways we can raise money to cover just like the basic fees that we have, and also cover like the volunteers' time as well, if possible. And then I guess what I really want to see is us just become a source where just become a staple and become more integrated into the Albanian community, because I think we've done very well to create the organization we have, but it's meaningless if people don't know about us. And there's lots of other great organizations in the UK which involve Albanians, which I want to see us working with on a regular basis. There are a couple that we do work with all the time regularly, but I want to see us more integrated out there. And finally, one thing which we have already started working on is I want to see us having more links with back home, whether that's Kosovo, Albania, North Macedonia. And crazily enough, the partnerships we've had with organizations back home, they've reached out to us, which is insane. And I think it's also really good because I've been really cautious about doing that, about making the first step. So it's good that they're putting me on the spot and,
That's awesome.
coming to
Yeah.
us.
You
So-
probably got their attention from all the great work you're putting out there. So that's amazing. Yeah.
So that's what I want to see. I want to see, as in my personal like agenda, which obviously is separate to Elsa, is I want to see more people going back home, whether it's on like a permanent basis or on like a temporary basis. I'm a very big advocate of that. So I think Elsa is a great way, if someone is interested in doing that, they can maybe do it through us.
Yeah, I'm gonna link all your socials down below and your website. So throughout your whole journey, you said you worked a lot, great student. You also have this organization that you founded, Elsa. You love bringing the Albanian community together, and I love how just all the work that you've done so far. So who has been your biggest inspiration throughout all this?
Good question. I think I'd say initially I always have to credit the nurses that I worked with in intensive care at the beginning, because I think they're the ones who really sparked the fire in my heart to do the work I do outside of my studies. But there is a woman, her name is Lulieta, and she is, I think she's basically the lead of this charity here in the UK called Shpresa program. And I don't know if you've heard of them, but they're based here in the UK, and they do a lot of work with young migrants who come over from Albania or Kosovo or wherever, and they help keep them on the right path. They help them with their papers. They do a lot of work with young women as well, especially young women with children, which is incredible. They train them, they get them work, they help them with their documents. Honestly, their charity, like I can't speak well enough about them. But what I love about Luli is you won't find another person like Luli. And you might speak to her for 5 seconds, but you'll remember that 5 seconds for the rest of your life. She is so giving. Like if you just look at her, you can see the aura pouring out of her and giving into other people. She's always like, whatever she has, she'll give it to you. And she's so inspiring and so passionate. I'm actually doing a leadership course, which is based off of her as a person. It's a course on like how to be like her, because she inspires so many people. And we all want to be mentored by her. I mean, she runs this huge organization. She's given up her whole like career and life into giving back into this organization. And really, really sadly, she was diagnosed with cancer a couple years ago, and she is fighting it. She's doing her best. But what I found really interesting is when she was diagnosed with the cancer, the doctors did not give her a good prognosis at all.
Yeah.
anyway, she was really positive about it, which is great. Yeah, of course, Lul is going to be super positive about it. Of course, if you tell her she's got something incurable, she's going to be like, well, I'm the one who's going to cure it.
Yeah.
But from my perspective, obviously, I'm not in her family, I don't know. The way she changed her life did not change. The way she lived her life did not change. You know, some people get diagnosed with something terminal and they quit their job,
Yeah.
they move to the countryside, and they finally do all the things they wanted to do. She didn't do that because she was already living her passion. She was already living her life the way she felt in her soul. She was intended to be living it. She was already doing all these amazing things. So when she had this diagnosis, all she did was double down. All she did was like be like, I'm going to use this to drive me, to fuel me, to do even more for like my what is worthwhile to me.
Yeah.
And I think that's amazing. Like, who can say that? Who can say that they are living their life in a way that they are truly proud of
Yeah.
and that they wouldn't change even if they knew they had a year to live? I can't.
Yeah.
Like, I definitely can't. If I knew I had a year to live, you think you'd catch me in that hospital at fucking 2 a.m. Oh, sorry, at 2 a.m. in the morning, like wiping up
Yeah.
experts off the floor? No, you would not. I
Yeah.
would not go another day in that job. I would do something completely different.
Yeah.
So I think, I really, and I've never met anyone like that. I don't know anyone like that. So I really, really, really respect her.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think any moment I spend with her, I really, really cherish it because she is an amazing woman.
Oh, yeah, I love that. And yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. I hope everything is getting better for her, and hopefully she fights it off. And sounds like it sounds like an amazing person, amazing woman, and wishing her all the best, to her and her family. So yeah, we've talked about more work related stuff so far. Kind of want to shift our focus to your passions, your hobbies, or even just like little daily rituals that you enjoy other than work. Because work is a big part of our lives, but like we also need to spend some time focusing on things that make us happy.
Yeah, no, you're so right, honestly. I agree with you. And I think especially when you're younger, you become so like probably like at your stage as well, you
Yeah.
become so almost obsessed with like getting to the next stage,
Yeah.
passing the exam, studying, and it's your whole focus. And to be fair, like you don't have a choice in some ways, because if you don't work hard at our age, then you're not going to get there. But I agree with you, it's so important to have passions. I am a bit boring in the sense of I did have other like gym, like some sports and stuff like that before. But honestly, like once I started ALSA, it just felt really meaningless.
Mhm.
And I'm just
Yeah.
like, if I have spare time, I'll spend it on ALSA. But I think what my passion is mainly in ALSA is not necessarily like planning the events or making the Canva post. It's like having one-to-ones with the volunteers. And they probably find it annoying, but to me, that's really where my passion lies. And I know that when I finish my training, my career, whether it's in healthcare or whether it's not in healthcare, if it doesn't have this element to it, I'm not going to do it. Because what I really, really love is seeing someone and just watching them grow and being a part of that journey. Because for so many people, they have so much potential and
Yeah.
they have so, I know myself, like I used to be such a shy, timid person. You would never catch me on a podcast, and you would definitely never catch me
Look at
like
you now.
I know. Now you can't literally you can't shut me up. And it took some drastic things in my life for me to come out of my shell and like give the way I'm giving. So I see that in other people. I can recognize it when someone else is in that like primary stage. So I love like watching them grow, and I hope she won't mind me saying this. I hope so, and I'm sure she won't. But like Chloe, like she's one of our volunteers, and she's incredible. She's amazing. She's honestly a superstar. And when I first met her, she was like quite quiet, a little bit nervous. Like we'd have one-to-ones with her, and I'd be like, "Is it me?" I'd bring someone else into the meeting to be like, "Is she like shy because of me? Is it me? Am I too loud?" And now, like the other week, she was like to me, "I want to host the next house event." I'm sorry, but the Chloe I met like 3, 4 years ago would have said that. And I didn't do anything for her. Honestly, like I didn't give her the gifts she has. She's already that amazing person. All I did was create an environment where she could be the person that, she has the potential to be. And that is what I love. And I know that's like, it's not a hobby and it's not like an
Yeah.
activity or something, but I love doing that so much. And I love it when other people do it for me as well. Like if I have like a mentor or I meet someone inspirational and they bring it out of me as well. So that's what I love to do. And honestly, that's the things that I think about, like kind of like before I go to bed, or especially if I've had like a bad shift at work, which is why I turn to ALSA, because it's the stuff that makes me happy and the stuff that makes me feel like what I'm doing is worthwhile.
Yeah. I think that's one of the best passions to have, honestly. You have a passion for giving back to your community, helping other people achieve their very best self and guiding them in that direction. So I think that is so honorable, and not a lot of people are like that. So I applaud you for that.
No, thank you. I honestly, I'm lucky that people give me the privilege to have that
Mhm.
position, because like you can call yourself a leader as much as you
Yeah,
want, but that's not a title you can give yourself.
exactly.
Only
Yeah,
other people can give you that title, and only other people can put you there and keep you there.
yeah,
Like I said, ALSA's not registered. Tomorrow, those 75 people could say F you and go and leave
yeah,
ALSA. There's no contracts, there's
yeah.
nothing. I'm very, very thankful that they give me the opportunity to, be in this position.
Yeah, for sure. And our last question today is, what is the biggest piece of advice you'd give to anyone out there listening? Um, could be life advice or anything school related. Yeah.
Yeah. School related, definitely don't take it so seriously. It's not that deep. I don't know if you can say that in America.
I'd have to agree with you on that one. As
It's
someone
never that
who
deep.
I grew up thinking like school, like taking every little grade so seriously. And at the end of the day, I'm like, I graduated. We're all equals now.
Who the F cares what I got in my GCSEs? Like nobody.
Exactly.
So, take it easy. And I think in general, my general advice would be fitting with what we've spoken about, I guess, for the last half an hour
Yeah.
is don't wait, just go for it. You
Mhm.
know, what is your passion? What makes you happy? And pick it. And if that means quitting your studies and quitting your job to go to a different path, then so be it. Honestly, like don't wait for something tragic or something dramatic to happen.
Yeah.
And I know it's easy to say that. And I know like it's so hard to like live your life like I don't know what the phrase, but live it how you want to live it, but just don't leave it too late. And even if you make like a small attempt, like, because ALSA is not my first attempt at creating an organization. I failed previously.
Mhm.
And even if you fail, it doesn't matter. You will still feel good and
Yeah.
you'll still be proud of yourself. And I'll be proud of you.
Yeah.
So just do it. Yeah, that's what I'd say.
Yeah, I agree. My thing is just like try not to have any regrets in life. Like if there's something that you feel like you find yourself thinking about after years and years, and you're like, why haven't I done this yet? Why haven't I been a part of this yet? Just do something towards it. And if you fail, like it's okay. At least you tried, and don't
Exactly.
have any more regrets. So yeah. We are on to our rapid fire round questions where I
Okay.
ask you a couple questions and you have to answer as quickly as possible. All right. What has been your favorite age so far?
25.
Okay. Are you 25 right now?
No, I'm 27.
Oh,
Do I expand or do I?
yeah, you can expand actually. I'm
Oh,
curious
okay,
now.
fine. Mainly because, not mainly, but partially because I miss my long blonde hair that I
Oh,
burnt off in Albania. But also, that was when like I kind of like first started working, and I felt really confident. And I finally got to see the payoff of like years and years of studying with like a patient turning around and thanking me, which felt really, really good.
yeah, that's
And I met my best friend Mariam. Shout out to Mariam. I love her.
okay. Shout out to Miriam. What is your go-to lazy dinner?
Oh, girl dinner.
Mhm.
Gonna be like, oh my gosh, ramen, of course.
Oh,
Well, noodles,
oh yeah.
like I'm obsessed. I just bought a whole pack. I know it's bad for me. I know I'm a doctor. You don't have to do.
Yeah.
I love it. It's my favorite go-to dinner.
I do too. I haven't had it since college actually,
Oh,
but I
get
used
back
to
on it
eat it.
now.
Yeah, it's really good. What is your favorite thing to do in the summertime?
Oh, go back home.
Yeah,
Mainly to see family because I don't probably like every other Albanian. My family is spread across Europe.
yeah,
But in the summer, obviously, everyone goes back home. So just to see them all. And everyone's growing up, and I don't like it, but it's
Aw.
fine. So have a few more summers with cousins.
Yeah. What is, well, I have this on the list, but you've talked about so many causes that are important to you, but what is one cause that's like the most important to you?
I would say the cause that is most important to me is supporting young women with or without children, mainly who are in like abusive or just non-helpful relationships, especially back home. I think that's a demographic of women who is totally, totally unsupported and overlooked. And it is my dream to go back home and work with these women.
Yeah.
Because they have so much potential. Think about any young woman you know who has a child and is doing it all on their own. Super women.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to unlock their superpowers. So
Yeah.
that's really important to me.
That's beautiful. And if you could travel to any year in a time machine, what year would you choose and why?
Oh, yeah. Maybe I would take like a sneak peek into the future. Maybe
Okay.
go like, a couple hundred years into the future and just like have a look
Yeah.
and be like, oh, okay, fine. Come back. I probably won't like what I see, to be honest.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll be surprised,
Maybe. Yeah.
But yeah, that's maybe what I'll do.
Your favorite dessert?
My friend Kanita makes these brownies, Brownie God, at Brownie God. Um, Unreal. And I'm sorry I'm saying this to you because you can't get them in America
Yeah.
yet. But the fudgiest, gooeyest, oh my gosh, they're amazing. I'm gonna have to order some tonight because my favorite thing ever to eat. I could live off them.
Okay. I'll check that out after. Yeah.
And
What?
they support Elsa a lot, so shout out to them for that.
Okay, I'm gonna link their stuff down below too
Yes,
then.
please.
Okay, last question. What is your favorite song from your teenage years that you still rock out to when no one else is listening?
This is so niche, but N-Dubs are this band, this group. Do you know them?
No, I don't know.
I don't think you will. They were popular for just like a couple years, right when I was a teenager. And they do these like really cheesy. No, they're good. They're good. But N-Dubs, check them out. Anything by N-Dubs. Shout out to them. They're not together anymore. They broke up, but they're still in my heart. They're together in my heart.
Do you ever listen? Do you like One Direction? Were you a One Directioner?
No, that's too young for me.
Oh, okay. All right. Oh, well, that brings us to the end of another insightful episode, and a huge thank you to Arisa Reka for sharing her wisdom with us today. Truly enjoyed talking with you. And as we wrap up, I want to remind you guys to subscribe, leave a review, share with a friend, and I've also linked Arisa's LinkedIn down below, and Alsa's website, Alsa's Insta, and what was the goddess brownie thing?
Brownie God.
Brownie God.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next episode.
Thanks.